Hey there, I am here with Pete Henwood of Mainline Overland.
Hello.
I first had interaction with Pete a couple years ago. I'm not even sure if he remembers this. On Instagram, I saw his Range Rover Sport Supercharged, right?
Yeah.
That he put on 35s, and we had one in our garage, and I was like, hey, that's super cool. Maybe we should look at doing that. So I reached out to Pete, and we talked about it, and kind of after hearing about having to trim the doors and like all the challenges, I was like, yeah, this isn't for us.
Yeah.
So kind of fast forward a couple years later, we decided to build up this GX.
Yeah.
And so we started talking about that around Christmas of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
It's now April 3rd, 4th?
4th, yeah.
Okay, so it took a while
Yeah,
to do it.
absolutely.
I know we had some challenges getting parts, those sort of things.
Fitting,
all the stuff. It's been in the shop here actively being worked on, I think, for about 6 weeks at this point.
Yep, absolutely.
But I just thought it would be cool to kind of give Pete an opportunity to talk about everything that went into this build. You know, he had a lot of input into it. I kind of went to Pete and I said, hey, if we were going to build a GX and just let's pretend we didn't have a budget, what would it look like? And then we'll kind of back off of that and see if that actually fits in the budget or not. And for the most part, I think it did.
Yeah.
So, you know, a lot of recommendations came out of Pete, and I'm really happy with how it turned out.
Yeah.
So I think that's it. We'll just start walking through the build.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
where do you want to start here, Pete?
So up front we have basically the Prado bar, out of Australia. Did physically bolt up to the ends of the frame rails, but there is no template for this bumper to fit on this truck. So this was a lot of kind of cutting, lifting, checking for clearance, cutting, repetitive cutting until we could get it, into the right zone, particularly around the headlight washers and making all of that kind of work and the grill cutouts as well.
So it had a cutout for the headlight washers. We're trying to get all that to work.
Correct. Yeah, getting that to work. That's why this radius dips up here, is so that this can actually extend up to spray the headlights. And then the other kind of tricky thing was how we were going to kind of slot the grill to accommodate the uprights for the bar work. But apart from that, once we kind of figured out the template a rough template of what we needed to do, it came together really nicely. We had obviously the headlight washers, we have the parking sensors in place. Just like all the Summit bars, it does have door access for your free spool lever to get to the come up 12.5 RS winch we have in there, and the LP9's mounted up, kind of perfectly up front. But yeah, and then kind of underneath we have the under tray panels that go back to the rad support, and meet up with the RCI skids that we'll talk a little bit more about in a couple minutes. But yeah, that's kind of the front end. We could pop the hood if you like and show you what's going on underneath.
So all those fancy electronics and going on over there.
Yeah, so up front, behind the grill here, we have the come-up control box for the wireless remote and for the wired controller as well. It's a little tight in there. There isn't a lot of space in the front with the way that the grill kind of tapers out, so that is mounted back there to a bar that we've kind of made to tie in to the OEM grill supports. Up front here, we have the ARB air compressor. And then we have kind of our Red Arc battery system here that's charging our auxiliary battery. And then we have two 34 Optimas here in place with the S-Pod Bantam, which is pretty killer. This was a little bit of a hurdle here. We thought originally we were going to be able to put that battery back, in that kind of Forerunner location, but the heater core kind of hoses and everything kind of made us think a little bit twice about kind of modding that OEM kind of component of the vehicle to try to keep it simple. So we made a couple of changes to this area to be able to accommodate two batteries. I made a little hole down here. It's a little bit tough on the newer trucks with the secondary air pump under this cover in front of the airbox. That's where you would ordinarily have that in, the rest of the world would have a second battery over there if they had a D4D diesel in here. But everything kind of fits nice and tidy. We do have a lot of leads coming to the batteries, just with inverters and the winch, and a lot of USB and 12-volt power ports around the vehicle that we'll show you here in just a minute. But the S5 kind of helped us keep things pretty organized for all the lighting and lockers. So we tried to kind of be as minimally invasive as possible under the hood. So.
It looks great, nice and clean.
But yeah,
Super happy with that.
cool.
All right, that's awesome. So, Pete, you want to tell us a little bit more about what we got going on here? I know the tire size we did here was
pretty aggressive.
Not a little aggressive.
Yep.
I think most of the guys running the GXs are running 285 70s.
Yep.
17s, and we went to a 285 75 17. So
Yeah.
maybe you can talk a little bit about what went into making that work.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're running, basically a metric 34 instead of the metric 33 that a lot of people run. We're running them with the 17x8 Evo Course wheel with 0 offset, and that is giving us kind of the right spacing off of the upper control arm, and giving us the ability to get some decent clearance. So we did have to do a little bit of massaging in the back of the wheel well, body mount chop, and a little bit of clearancing of that lower fender bracket to be able to kind of get full lock, a little bit flexed out. So that was a little bit of a hurdle fitting this. We were able to get nice high caster numbers alignment-wise with our Icon delta joint upper control arms up here. So we're able to get in that 4-degree range, which helps a lot with running a big tire. And then obviously we're running like an Icon Stage 7 tubular kit on this with the CBCV adjustment. So pretty killer suspension setup on this truck. Just a little bit of massaging to make the bigger tire work up front.
And I know people are probably going to ask me, you put all this effort and money into this truck, why not the billet?
Yeah.
And you and I talked a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the East Coast, we deal with all the salt and whatnot where, the billet's really nice, but having things seize up and whatnot is what we're constantly battling, especially up at our New Hampshire location.
And at some point, just make myself feel a little bit better about this. It's good to save money somewhere.
Yeah,
right.
Getting the same specs,
you
lose a tiny bit of adjustment. The billets have some primes up top, but for what we do on the East Coast, it would be more work for you, and it would be kind of more of a hassle than the benefit you might see if you lived out in Cali or something like that. But yeah.
Okay.
Moving
we got
along.
a snorkel here.
Yeah, we've got our Dobinson's, GX460 Prado snorkel, bolted right up. A little bit of massaging work to get it to fit the kind of GX, the latest GX fender here. But otherwise, a great piece, and something we would recommend for other GX owners. And then kind of moving a little bit further down, we have our MLO mainline Overland bolt-on sliders for the GX. One nice thing we did was we got the rocker caps brought in from Japan, already painted, which was really nice. So we did some nice clearancing to kind of blend the slider in with the rocker cover as opposed to just cutting the OEM running board. Which you can do, but yeah.
Looks fantastic.
A little bit tidier.
Clean.
Just nice cap. Yeah, behind this you'd end up with like a 2-inch kind of termination point to kind of nothing. The door just kind of ends, and then the inner sill's behind it, so it gives it a nice finished look. And then, moving along the exterior, we got our front runner rack. That is a nice
same thing you put on
solution.
Pete also did some work to my 100 series.
Yeah.
It was in here a couple weeks ago, I guess about 6 weeks ago, when I
Yep.
dropped this off and made a swap, running the same rack on it. It's been fantastic. So
Absolutely.
I'm sure this one will
Yeah.
just as good.
Yeah, we love the front runner stuff. I mean, it's just, there's so many accessories and it's so easy to add. You just take a cap off and then you can slide a bolt down, and it's ready to rock. And pretty readily available stuff too. And then the iCamper.
The iCamper.
The long-awaited iCamper. So looks pretty killer up there in the black too.
Yeah. I know we had a lot of discussion about going the matte or the what's that?
The rocky black or the
rocky
gloss.
Black, the
Yeah.
gloss, yeah. So I'm happy with the choice you made.
Yeah, I think it's just like it'll probably be a little bit
Yeah.
easier to keep clean too.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then kind of moving towards the rear. Again, Icon Stage 7, we have their lower control arms. We don't have the uppers on right now, just because of the height sensor on the upper arm, and the lowers are kind of what's going to take the beating anyhow. But spring-wise, we have the Overland spring, the Icon Overland spring, a nice, really heavy spring, which kind of made it a little bit of a hot rod without all the weight on it. But once we got our tent and fridge and drawers and everything in there.
Yeah, and it's not packed yet. There's a lot more weight to come.
Yeah,
so
I'll probably sit nice and level when you're ready.
All right, Pete, so moving around here to the rear end, we've got the Metal Tech bumper. Turned out great.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that? And for anybody who cycles, we also got this ISI rack over from Australia, which is just awesome. It's pretty lightweight, and I love it. It's,
high
it keeps
clearance.
all the clearance and the departure angles and those sorts of things.
Pretty impressive.
But tell us what went on with getting this bumper fitted.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is the Metal Tech bumper. I mean, they kind of say it'll fit up to like 13 or whatnot on their site. It fits pretty close. I mean, it was just a little bit of cutting of the rear bumper cover just under the tail light. But apart from just kind of cutting several times and refitting and kind of literally just like shaving with a belt sander, that rear kind of quarter piece, it went on pretty smoothly. So, parking sensors are able to go in. We've got
that was huge for me.
lights.
That was one of the things I said to you. I was like, I kind of like to keep everything working
Yep.
as much as possible, and you guys were absolutely willing to accomplish that. Which
Yeah,
is great.
no, absolutely. Yeah, it's a nice piece. It just kind of fits right in, and it gives you enough kind of clearance around the edges to not have any worry about maybe pivoting into the metal of the rear quarter panel, which is important on a frame mounted bumper. But yeah, I mean, we do have a lot going on in the swing out too, with jerry cans and full size 34 and everything. High lift, shovel, good amount of weight, but
Seems to carry it well.
space is a premium, on with this rig, so it's nice to have everything kind of organized. The high clearance hitch is pretty killer too. Good complement for your ISI setup here. But yeah, do you want to show how this thing pops down?
Yeah, let's go ahead and get this ISI folded down, and
Cool.
we'll open up the inside and take a look at everything we got going on in there.
Very cool.
All right, Pete, so we got the inside open here.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us about what happened in here? We got the front runner drawers.
Yeah, absolutely.
and the slides.
Yeah, so we've got front runner GX 460 drawers. These just went right on top of that third row seat, and then turnbuckle down, which is nice.
Makes them easy to remove if you need to.
Exactly. We did kind of jockey around some of the positions of the turnbuckles to accommodate some other features we'll show you here in a second, but they're lockable, slide completely out. Might just want to put some foam or whatnot inside to kind of isolate any kind of metal on metal contact, but a nice tidy solution. Then we've got our Dometic fridge, CFX 50, and drop down fridge slide here. Pretty nice. Pops down, gives you some access right here to the cooler. So the CFX 50, has Wi-Fi capability too. So, you can go ahead and adjust temperatures from an app, which is kind of cool. You have USB in there as well. But most importantly, you have access to cold beer.
Yeah. And as silly as it sounds, I mean, forever I'm driving around and I'm like, is the fridge plugged in? Wondering, is it on? I'm trying to see the reflection of the light in the mirror in our other
Yep.
vehicle, in this one. So it seems a little silly, the Wi-Fi, but then also I can see some practicality behind it. I can actually check it while I'm driving to see if it's
Not
on.
worried
So
that
that's
the
kind of cool.
12 volts popped out of the port or anything like that. So yeah, it is a cool setup for sure. But yeah, and it's nice and easy to use, and has that household plug as well. So if you could use it as like a garage kind of beer fridge, if you need to. But other items would be, you get some under wing storage here with the front runner, so some voids there to pop some items in. Same on this side, but we have a little bit of something else going on under that cover.
I guess we'll have to swing
show
around
from
the
the
front and
side.
show that.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead and get that going.
Cool.
All right, Pete, so talked about the rear end here, what's going on back here. Maybe talk a little bit about what we have going in here in terms of power solutions and things. I know one of the things that was a concern for me is it has no power, GX.
Yeah.
There's not even a 12 volt back here.
Yeah.
So, if you've got, we have kids and riding around back here trying to charge their phones and these things on these long days on the road.
Power ports at a premium, right?
Yeah. Premium, yeah. So tell us kind of what you did to help solve that for me.
Yeah, so we ended up adding a 12 volt and USB, dual USB socket from Blue Sea fast charge units.
On both sides?
On both sides, behind the seat. So, you can run your cord easily with the seat up. They're kind of mounted on the upper wheel well area. Just to kind of have the ability to charge devices and whatnot. And get plugged in or
run
whatnot.
Laptops. So
run laptops.
One of the things that that helps us with being able to do these bigger trips that we're trying to get into is our kids homeschool.
Yeah.
But part of that is them having the ability to actually get on their computers and do some things. So we need to make sure we had all the power we needed to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah, access is important. So we put in a Go Power Pure Sine 2000 watt inverter on the side of the front runner drawers, fit perfectly below the driver's side access panel to the side. So that's wired.
I know you can't probably see it too well in the
Yeah.
front here, but it's awesome. It sits right here.
Yep. So it's a great unit, pure sine wave, so it's not going to, damage any equipment with a surge or anything like that. And then we only had to move like one turnbuckle portion on the front runner drawers to accommodate that. So it was pretty nice install. But yeah, and then we've also added a couple other ports.
So up in the front here, right? So we got again, we can't really see them from this side, but down here in the passenger side wheel well, again, there's hardly any 12 volt power in this GX.
Surprising,
it's blew me away, but. You added same setup up here in the front, as well as for our CB.
Absolutely.
Cobra 75 that we've got going in there. And then the S-Pod. Why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so we have the S-Pod Bantam touchscreen unit here. So this gives us nice control of all of our accessories that are going to be switched, so we don't have to kind of hack up the interior with not having a lot of flat spaces on these new vehicles. So, with this, we are able to basically control all of our lighting, our air compressor, and control our lockers as well. So that is giving us that capability. This also has a Bluetooth function too. So if you're up in the tent at night, you hear a noise, you can go ahead and click on your LP9s up front. Boom, what's that? You're gonna be able to see. So. That's pretty killer. We run this in a lot of vehicles that are new or have a lot of leather upholstered panels that we can't really drill into. So it's a nice, tidy solution.
Yeah, and I'm just spying the locker switches over here. We didn't really talk about that yet. So you maybe a little about the gearing we went with and the lockers. And
So we're running Nitro 488 gears, and then we're also running Harrop Eaton E-lockers, front and rear as well. So. We like the reliability of the E-locker, less potential for a internal air leak or anything like that, that can kind of turn into a little bit of a nightmare, especially depending on where you have your compressor mounted. If it's in the interior, gear oil smell never goes away. So E-lockers are a great unit and installed, and kind of roll on, typically, just like a Toyota style e-locker. So, and with the 488s, we were kind of forced into running the 488s to be able to, accommodate the e-locker. And that's kind of what played a little bit into this 34 decision tire-wise, just to kind of keep RPMs at bay.
Would have preferred to go 4.56, but that wasn't an option. So
Yeah.
at least not running the e-locker. So like you said, a little balance. But
Absolutely.
you guys made the wheels and tires work. So
Yeah. No, it's a great setup.
good.
Same tire you have on the 100, or same size, right?
Same size. Yep.
But yeah, and then the only other item we didn't really touch on is this is a solid kit dual voltage display that just pops into the OEM blank there, which is nice. So kind of giving us real-time digital, readouts. There's no connection that's going to wiggle or cause kind of a false reading, which is nice. And we didn't, again, have to, hack up the interior or anything like that to do it. So nice and tidy, pretty stock looking, and that's kind of a win, from our perspective. So.
And Pete, I know too, maybe just one quick thing to talk about. I know you had a few challenges here with this driver's side specifically.
Yeah,
That had to
absolutely.
be solved.
So, the GX obviously has KDSS. We have our KDSS pumped down on the frame. The lines are a little bit different than the 5th Gen 4Runner because we have these arms on, or these sliders on a 5th Gen 4Runner with KDSS. For the 460, we did have to move the forward foot about 1.5 inches, which we've obviously noted for future batches. Apart from that, bolted right up once we're able to kind of move that forward a little bit and get it repowder coated and good to go. But otherwise, just a little bit of trimming of these rocker panel covers if you go with the JDM version, or you could cut up your OEM running boards. This is just a little bit of a cleaner kind of OEM plus look. So.
All right, Pete. So we threw this thing up on the rack. We got a lot of goodie stuff going on under here. This is potentially one of my personal favorite parts. I love the look of these plates. And
Yeah.
So maybe tell us a little bit what you had to do here. I know that, again, there are some custom brackets and things I think that you guys ended up having to make.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so this is basically a 5th Gen 4Runner RCI skid set. We have kind of the main kind of engine, front diff skid here. We've got our transmission skid here, which we kind of had to mod a little bit just because the cross member is a tiny bit further back, with the 468. And then we have our transfer case skid as well, which we end up just drilling a different hole in the cross member from RCI to adapt to the frame. Apart from that, it does give it a nice clean belly look under here, and we have our fuel tank skid as well. Raw aluminum, you can gouge it up and you don't have to worry about touching that paint back up.
Yeah.
So it's pretty
I
clean.
know my Cruiser with the I've got the steel plates under there.
Yeah.
They're all marred up,
Gouged
and
and
gouged,
rusty.
and rusty, and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Yeah.
So
It'd be nice with this.
for sure, yeah. I mean, steel has its place, but for a nicer truck, you're going to be a little bit more careful with, and aluminum isn't a bad option to keep the weight down. But
So that's the plates. Anything else we need to talk about?
yeah, I mean, above here you can't really see anything, but we do have that e-locker up front, the harrop. And then in the back we have the harrop as well. It's buried in the third member, but you can't really tell. There's a 2-wire pigtail that comes out and goes up to the S-pod for power. But yeah, I mean, otherwise you can see our big old icon links here down below, and our nice 2.5 shocks in the rear. But otherwise looking pretty stock, which is a nice feature for such a built-out truck sometimes. But yeah, this forward foot on the slider right up here is what we ended up moving forward about 1 inch or so, just to kind of work around the hard lines of the KDSS right up here. So future sets of our sliders for the 460 will have it in that location, so we won't have to do that workaround anymore. But otherwise, a nice tidy underside for a nice clean truck that only has like 800 miles
yeah,
on
I
it
dropped
still.
about 800 miles what this
So-
truck has on it right now. So yeah, it's still
But
super new.
yep.
All right, Pete. Well, thanks for giving us
Yeah.
an overview of everything that went into this. I'm super excited, and you know, just thank you guys for building us such
Absolutely.
an awesome
Yeah,
truck
thank
for
you
our
for
family
choosing
to
us. It's
have some adventures in. And
Fun projects to kind of wrap our heads around and make stuff work on. So
we and
beautiful truck.
we're leaving here in 2 days to head up to Alaska for
Yeah.
a maiden voyage on this, and try to reconnect with you guys at
Absolutely.
Overland
Expo
West.
Yeah. And then hopefully see you in the booth.
Yeah, awesome.
Very
Well,
good.
thanks again.
Good stuff. Safe travels.
Thank you.